Hi, everyone, and welcome to our show. Today, my name is Tony, and as you guys already know, this is the Mark Your Trade show, where we interview awesome guests that are entrepreneurs as well as parents, because we all know that parents are technically entrepreneurs in their own way because we work more advantageously and a little bit smarter at things we needed to do. And on the show today, I have Remy and Natalie Wallace, really good friends of mine, and they have such big hearts. And I'd love to welcome to the show. They've been in the entrepreneur space for many, 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 many years, and I look forward to having the show. So, welcome, Natalie and Remy. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thanks so much.
Hey,
Hi.
Tony.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, this is exciting for us. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Remy and Natalie, can you tell me how you guys first gravitated to become entrepreneurs and while you're being parents?
Yeah, sure. So we started off not as parents when we started into our entrepreneur journey. I grew up with entrepreneurs. My mom and dad have been basically full control of their time and money since I was born. So 40 years. So it's been a long time. And I grew up with my parents around. I grew up traveling and kind of seeing the benefit of what the lifestyle could provide. And I think I always wanted to gravitate towards that, but I truly believe that entrepreneurs are not born, they're made, and it's the choice that you make. And so at first I didn't have that mindset. I grew up, privileged to have the benefits of it, but wasn't going in that journey for myself. And so I had to change as soon as I realized that it wasn't working. What I was doing was not working for me. And so I approached my mother and father and was like, can you teach me how to do what you've done? Because I know I'm eventually going to want a family, and I don't want to do provide what I can provide right now as an employee is not what I want to give my children. So they kind of, just started coaching me in what they do. And I became really, really into it and excited and grew. And then Remy joined me in our journey, and we've been going together. And then now we have 3 kids.
Speaking of, one of our kids is right here down below to the left of the camera here. And he's 10 months old. Here, I'll give you guys.
At any moment,
here
this could all go down.
This is Rocky. And I'm from Philadelphia, so we had to name our son Rocky, of course. That's him. And he just woke up from a nap. We were kind of hoping he'd nap through this, but that's how it is, right? That's how it is being entrepreneurs with kids. So yeah, my story is slightly different from Natalie's. When I say slightly, I mean very different. So when she was born, her parents were already wealthy from entrepreneurship. They had already created a large business for themselves that was very successful. And my journey was very different. So I grew up in West Philadelphia, born and raised. I was in a low socioeconomic background. I think my parents really, and going back generations in my family, chased money. So I didn't grow up. I wasn't raised in an environment like Natalie was, around entrepreneurship, around a whole lot of positivity. Now, my parents were great, but they split up at a young age when I was young, and there were really no examples of entrepreneurship in my neighborhood. And none of my friends or friends' parents were really successful entrepreneurs. Everyone I knew were employees. So my story is very different. And up until, my mid 30s, when Natalie and I got married, I had no clue what was possible or what your life could really look like. And so, we call ourselves lifestyle entrepreneurs now because we believe that you can actually design the life you choose as an entrepreneur. And that was something that I just didn't know about until I met her parents. And specifically, her dad really has had such a profound impact on me and my journey, and has taught me so many things. So
that is such an amazing story from the both of you, and then coming together to bring it up even more. That is awesome. So just correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are both coaches currently as well, correct?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So for the coaching, as you know, the space is getting a lot bigger, especially with the pandemic, and it's growing exponentially. By the year 2024 or 2025, it's supposed to have a 300 to 400% increase. And with that doing, it's creating a lot of friction for other people saying, is it going to be regulated? There's been a lot of lawsuits going on and things of that nature. So with that being said, where do you see yourselves in the future when it comes to coaching?
I mean, I think for us, it's an additional stream of income, right? You need at least five streams of income if you're going to be a millionaire. So this is another stream of income for us. And I think that because the industry is so unregulated, you just have to be careful. And when you're seeking out a coach, you have to make sure you're not getting a coach who's trying to be a therapist, who's trying to work out your past, but trying to help you move forward in your future, and not delve into that other part. So yeah, for us, it's, I'll speak for myself. I coach people with ADHD, adults and teenagers that are entrepreneurs that are trying to kind of fix, not fix, but help sort out their neurodivergent brain to get on track and organized, to actually be functional, which is something that I had to deal with as well. And then personal development. We're very skilled in that arena and teaching people how to grow in that way. But I think that, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. The more people that come in, like, oh, I read a personal development book, I could be a coach. We'll see what happens there. I mean,
yeah, Tony, I think like you mentioned the pandemic, and there's been this kind of mass migration away from traditional job lifestyle recently. And if you haven't read, I mean, there's articles coming out constantly about all these people that are leaving their jobs, and so I think through the pandemic, people are realizing that the security and safety that they thought was there is actually way less safe and secure than they thought. And so some people also were made to come in and work during the pandemic, putting themselves at risk, putting their families at risk, and really didn't like having to make that decision. And then others were laid off or furloughed. And so it's led to this kind of paradigm shift for a lot of people. And then there were a huge amount of people who truly enjoyed working from home. Maybe they didn't love all aspects of it, but it worked. They made it work, and then they started to really enjoy it. And so I think there's a large number of people right now that are reimagining what their life could actually look like. And as more people start to design the lifestyle they truly want for themselves, coaches who can coach others in that direction are going to be a valuable commodity. And so that means being able to coach in a holistic living kind of way, rather than in a way that's just career or business oriented. And, the way we see ourselves in the future of that, I think that's kind of our specialty. That's what we've always been doing. That's what we've always loved is, and why we call ourselves lifestyle entrepreneurs is because we believe in first imagining and realizing the actual life you want to live, and then working backwards to create the results that will get you there. So instead of what most people do, which is choose a path, choose a career path, and then realize later that path's not actually going to get them the results that they want in life.
100%. I could totally agree with that philosophy as well. I think that's why we're good friends. That makes sense.
Yeah, man.
So sorry, they seem never to work with babies or animals, and this is why they're like incredibly distracting.
That's all right. I think that's what makes things unique, and that's why I created the niche I'm in, because it's uniquely different to have a coach trying to teach you how to be a life coach when they're 16 or 17 or 18, or when they are coach saying you can do all this stuff, but they don't have kids, they haven't went through the struggle. That's why I actually created my niche as well. So what you're talking about, the test of having the niche down to know of where you are is essential for what it is. And even the principle of having my business, it focuses on the why. So I've only kind of put in my logo, but
Yes,
it's definitely the aspect of my whole business principle. As parents and entrepreneurs, what's one of the greatest struggles you had to have, especially during the pandemic, of balancing both aspects? Like, I know you've been working at home. What's the greatest challenge that you had to overcome balancing between your work life, being the entrepreneur, and being the parent?
Yeah, I think like we've been we've been extremely blessed in that area. In that regard, we chose to put our time and energy into assets and investments that created some ongoing cash flow that are scalable and have just allowed us to have more an abundance of time. So we were able to create this environment for our family where our kids and each other were always the priority. And so that was just a choice we made in the type of leverage we wanted to create. That's not to say that there are not times where we have some serious chaos going on. Like we wanted, and I asked you about, is it okay if the baby's in the podcast? Because, and I love that you were like, yeah, like, let's do it. Because you said, you hadn't had a couple on yet. And then we were like, hey, let's bring the baby into it too, just to show people what it's really like. Like, let's just be real. Like, I think we tend to put on these, fake personas through social media, through even through Zoom. And then people are finding themselves in Zoom meetings and a parade of kids, or pets like going on in the background. And that's just real life. That's just how it is. So there are times where there's chaos and, and things become unbalanced. We try to keep them not from being too like crazy unbalanced to the point where we have breakdowns. But we've been able to also divide to conquer, right? So like, let's say Natalie's on a meeting. I handle the kids. I handle the laundry, the dishes, the cleaning, the bedtime, all that stuff. Let's say I'm on a meeting. She does those things as well. So we've been able to kind of divide to conquer and switch off when necessary.
And I think there's a little bit of a disservice to people to say, I just want a work-life balance, or I just want to find the balance in life. Especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's never going to be balanced. It's never going to be even. You just have to realize that there are some things that are going to pull your attention right now, and it will come back around, like baby Chewbacca over here. It'd be like some things that pull your attention, and maybe you're not going to get to those 4 Zoom meetings today or to those, calls right away because your baby has croup and you need to take care of them. You just have to realize that look at the week, not the day. Don't go like this day didn't go exactly how I planned. You have to be really flexible and give yourself a whole ton of grace when it comes to figuring out balance in your life. So that's why Remy and I always say, like, we're not 50-50, we're 100-100 with each other. Like, we have each other's backs all the time. Like during the pandemic, when we found ourselves all crammed in the house, Remy got like really good at cooking, and he became really, really good at it. And, that was something that I had kind of taken the lead on, but it was like, I'm going to have meetings around, dinner prep time. So Remy's like, well, the house has to function. So like, we're just going to have to get this done. And I think, it's like, the rising tide raises all ships, and that happens in a family too.
Love your responses, and I love Rocky over there. I can't wait to start doing quotes. I'm totally gonna be there for that.
He's gonna just come out with those nuggets, man.
You two as parents, I do not doubt that at all. So that being said, can you tell us one of the most impactful moments as a mom or dad that has improved your business from stuff that you've done as a parent that you transitioned over?
Sorry. Repeat that question.
Yes, can you tell us one moment that has impacted, that is an impactful thing that you've done as a mom or dad that has also improved your own business? So something you learned maybe like as a parent that has improved your business as well.
Oh man, I feel like as a parent, I had to get like hyper organized, and that was not the way I trended before being a mom. Probably because I have ADHD, I had to put these systems into place to help me focus. And once you throw children in the mix, one is like, you know, your first child kind of rocks your world because you're like, wow, everything's completely different. And then every child you add after that, things just get more and more chaotic. So you have to find a way that's going to be easy for you to implement organization into your life. Remy and I are in like organization and communication, especially if you're building a business with a partner. I feel like it taught me how to do that because it's sink or swim. Like if I didn't have the systems in place that I have, I would surely sink. That is for sure. But I feel like kids taught me how to do that. Plus they've got like busier social lives than we do. So we've got to be really organized.
I think it's, for me, it's patience. And, you know, working with people, Tony, as you know, working with people, I think is one of the most challenging things that you can possibly do. But also one of the most rewarding things you can possibly do. And it requires ridiculous amounts of patience. And so I describe being a parent the same way. It's super challenging, but also incredibly rewarding, right? And also one of the most impactful things you can do, if not the most impactful thing you can do, is to be a parent. So, because you're literally raising a human being. So, I mean, there's so many ups and downs. And it's just important to learn patience in both areas and never get too high or get too low. Just like how our kids will mimic our behavior and take on many of their parents' qualities, the same is true of your business team. They'll duplicate, you know, I've always been told your team will duplicate 40% of what you do right and 100% of what you do wrong. And our kids kind of operate the same way. So I think the most important lesson I've learned is to hold ourselves to higher standards of patience so that we can be better for our kids.
Love these answers.
Yeah, man.
I love the passing back and forth too. I'm like, yes, go team. Well, can you tell me, Remy, what was one of the proudest moments you've had as being a business owner parent?
Yeah, that's a great question. And forgive me if I might get a little emotional here. But for me, it was the day we decided that I no longer had to go back to work at a job, you know, a traditional job. I think that's as an entrepreneur, you know, most people, when they choose entrepreneurship, they still have to support themselves. And if you have a family, you really have to figure out that dynamic of like, how much time am I going to spend on my business? How much time am I going to spend on a job? And then, you know, the goal is to eventually be able to back out from the job world so that you can devote full time to your business. And in our case, devote full time to our family. And so me not having to go back to work, that was a really fun discussion to have, to be able to be, we just felt very blessed to be in that position, to be able to make that decision, which meant more time with my wife, meant more time with my kids, like quality time, and less time building other people's assets through the job world. And so it's allowed me to be my daughter's soccer coach. It's allowed me to spend, like, you know, have crazy fun dates with Natalie, and you know, and so that's probably my proudest moment.
I mean, that was by far like our why for a very long time. One of our strongest whys was to get Remy completely free from his traditional job. And so that was like the best moment ever. And I think also for me, it was to be able to provide the life for our children that I grew up having. You know, we were able to buy a house with a yard, and they each have their own room. And it's like this dream that I've always had that never would have been accomplished living in LA. If we stayed in Los Angeles where we were, in the place that we were living, it's like we would be saying to our kids, like, you're living like this less than what we could give you if we made different choices. And we just never wanted to look at our kids and be like, yeah, we're living this starving artist lifestyle because we're trying to prove something. You know, we want more for them. So we were able to give them more, and it's the biggest blessing of our life.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love hearing the full story. This is my first, for those this is my first time actually meeting Natalie, but I've talked to her many times. It's such an honor to have you both on together as a family. And
I told you, it's awesome, Tone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool. And the whole, being a parent as well as being the business owner, a lot of people have the misconception of that it's going to suck up all of your time, like all of your time. We always heard the parts, well, it's just a whole lot of work, and which may or may not necessarily be the case, because if you work smarter, not harder, that won't be the case. But you've all heard the terminology of entrepreneurs are crazy because we work 80 hours so we don't have to work 40. So what challenges would you have had to know before you started your business being a parent?
Oh man, I don't know if this is your experience, Tony, but mine is that people are crazy unaccountable. So most of us realize that, but I don't think I realized how much of an epidemic unaccountability truly was in our society. And part of that is coming to the realization as a coach that not everyone dreams as big as you do. Not everyone thinks the same as you do. And so if you're coaching someone and they don't want it, there's nothing you can do to make them want it, right? There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can't want something for someone that they don't want for themselves. But it's so hard as a coach because you want so badly to have the people that you're coaching have success in these areas that they say they want, but then you see them not actually living up to their true potential or doing the things that they need to do to get that done. And that's hard. And I wish I had known that ahead of time, because it would have given me some realistic expectations around that. So.
Yeah. And I think potential is a scary word.
Yeah.
When you're talking with somebody, to only see somebody's potential, and when they're not accountable, it can be heartbreaking. But potential means nothing without action. Nothing. So you have to find people that are actually going to take action. And you know what? It's gonna, if your income is based on their results, then you're going to be a little bit more careful about who you bring on to your team or who you coach. You're going to make sure that it's the right people. Remy and I are blessed enough to be in the position where we can choose who we take on. Now, I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to waste my time. So, we're not going to put ourselves in a position to be in that way, I guess.
Right. You want to keep your hair. You don't want to be like me, right? Just kidding. This happened for other reasons, but
yeah, man. I mean, Tony, like, one thing I think about too is, if you were a personal trainer and you took on clients and you only got paid if your clients got results, then you'd be way more careful with who you choose to work with, right, in that field. And we kind of look at it the same way. Like, we're careful with who we choose to work with as coaches, because their results also reflect on our coaching. And so it's very important, I think, to have some parameters and boundaries within your field and what we do, to respect your own time and value your time. And that's just so important. So I wish I had known that before I started. Now I've learned along the way, but it still is astounding. It still blows your mind, sometimes, but hey, that's what we chose, right?
Yeah, the power of choice is a powerful thing, and everybody's got it. So they just don't use it all the time. What was Bob Proctor? I was reading one of his books, and I rewatched one of his podcasts. I'm like, oh, that must be something speaking to me. But he says a lot of people sitting stagnant and they act as extras in their own movie. Like they're the star of their movie, but they act like they're just the cast, which is ironic. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, what if Keanu Reeves said, I'm not going to be Neo today. I'm going to be somebody else in one of the part. I'll be Agent Smith instead. No. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So what is one story for each of you that you like other families to know how to get to where you're at currently? because where your chapter 20 and 30 is, this is someone else's chapter 1. And what story would you like families to know that if they're struggling, they want to be successful as you are, that they want to have the family that you have? What is one story you'd like them to know?
Yeah, so I would say just hang in there. You know, it's incredible what you can accomplish in a short period of time when you just seriously go all in and devote the time and energy to one thing. And to have that patience. So many people overestimate what they can accomplish in like a 5-month period, but grossly underestimate what they can accomplish in a 5-year period. And so being patient with yourself and doing the daily steps necessary to be successful in your industry. And that's really all it takes.
Yeah. And I would say you're so close. You're so much closer than you think you are. And it can, I mean, there are days where we look at each other, and Remy said it the other day, like we were on the ropes with the kids today. Like they had us on the ropes, man. Like we were like tag teaming each other, trying to get everything done. It felt like there was food flying, toys flying, everything was a disaster at the end of the day. But it was like, we made it. Like, just like Remy said, keep going. Don't block your blessing. It's so much closer than you think it is. And if you stop at any point, you'll have to start over again. It's so much easier to keep going than it is to start over.
Oh yeah, definitely. Keep going. What was that country song? When you're going through hell, keep on trucking, or keep on moving, something like that.
This is gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. Like you're gonna have days where you're like, what are we thinking? We made a mistake. But it's not. It's, you know, everything happens for you, not to you. So you have to keep going.
It's that quote from Rocky, right? The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. Right? We named our son Rocky. I've got that Philly mentality. Like you get knocked down. All of us are going to get knocked down. Sometimes, many times in one day. And we just got to keep getting back up. And whoever keeps getting back up wins. That's it. We just got to get up one more time than we got knocked down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, thank you again both for being on the show today. Can you describe or tell me all the different ways that people can connect with you, either social media or whether reach out to you if they have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that opportunity. First of all, we run a monthly networking event that is geared towards entrepreneurs, and we started this event to encourage and inspire entrepreneurship. And it's people from all industries are welcome, you know, and we let people share what they're working on. And the whole goal is not to sell, but to encourage on our networking event. We do it once a month. The next one's actually not till January, just because the holidays, because we're, you know, in holiday season mode now. But January is the next one, and people can learn about the future events at entrepreneur_series, which is on Instagram. So it's at entrepreneur_series. And if you follow us, we follow everyone back that follows us. You can also email us at the Wallace Network at Gmail. So the WALLACE network at gmail.com. And then feel free, Facebook, Instagram us, whatever you want to do. We love hearing from people, and we love networking and meeting new people. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, it looked like Natalie had to take care of Rocky there.
I'm out.
She's over here. Hey, Tony, just want to say we really appreciate the opportunity here, and it was an honor, and we love what you're doing. You know, I'm so impressed with what you're creating here, and you're adding some serious positivity to the world, and we all need that right now. And we're so appreciative of you and everything you're doing. So thanks, man.
Thanks, Remy. It's a pleasure to have you here. It touches my heart that you say that as well. It's definitely been a struggle too, you know, as an entrepreneur. So I hear you. Thank you so much. And for those who are watching on the show today, if you want to reach out to Remy and Natalie, absolutely connect with them on social media. You have their Gmail as well, and look forward to the networking event that's going to be taking place. The next one will be on January. So those who watch the show, definitely stay tuned for the next one. My name is Tony Mizell. I'm the host of the Market Trade Show, and we have just had Remy and Natalie on the show. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for watching the show. And as always, keep on moving up with your intentions out.